Big shout out to Northeast PA Gun Talk for the tactical bowling pin. Hello everybody. Here I am making my first video. I'd like to first thank Squib Load for encouraging me to make videos, and also everyone on the gun channels community, gun channels community on YouTube, and for all the encouragement and support. This is a video about the Phoenix Arms HP25A and a few modifications I made to mine to make it a little bit more reliable. So enjoy. So this is the HP25A, as I said in the intro, and I apologize if there's any shaking of the camera. I don't have a tripod yet, so my fiance is standing in, so I thank her for that. So first thing we need to do is to go and find the grip screws, which are right here and right here, and we're going to take them off. And they're pretty short screws, so be careful not to lose them. They come right off, and then the grip panel just comes right off. Now imagine, I haven't taken a lot of handguns apart, but this looks a lot different than I would have imagined. Unfortunately, I already did the modifications, and I did not film them while I was doing it. So the first thing is, this gun comes with a magazine disconnect, but not in your standard ways. It actually does like three things. First off, the magazine, when the magazine is not in, you can't take the safety off, which is very annoying. It makes it very hard to clear the gun and function checking and everything. It's just very difficult unless you have a magazine in, which, as we all know, is not the safe way to do it. So they make it more dangerous by adding something like that. How that worked was, there was this little tab, this little sheet metal tab. It was in place right there. So when the magazine was not in, you couldn't push the safety down. It just, whatever. When you push the magazine in, it would bend up just a little bit, like that, so you could push the safety down. And because of that, we just really hated that. So all I did was bend this up until it snapped off. And there it is, little sheet metal. Got a little thing. It was also making lines on the magazine. Get the light on it there so you can see that line. Well, that was from the sheet metal point dragging on that. So didn't like that, got rid of it. Next thing we did was pulled the safety down, and you lift the back or the bottom of it here and pull it out. And there was a hook, more or less, that went around your magazine button, magazine release button. As it went around there, it went underneath of the magazine release button, and you couldn't push it in when it was on fire, which was very annoying. Obviously, I like being able to drop the magazine under any circumstance whatsoever. So what I did was I took my little hacksaw blade right here, and I just cut that hook off. And when you get one, you'll see it. It goes, like I said, it's like a half moon. It goes up underneath the magazine release button. So I just cut it off, and then I took a big file and filed down the sharp most of it. Took my little fine file here and just kind of cleaned it up. Took some of the burrs off of here that were on there from the factory. It's a MIM part, and they just didn't bother to take the burrs off. Obviously, it's a cheap gun, so they aren't going to take the time to do that. Once you're done with that, you take your safety and you slide it up underneath the frame, or underneath the slide, just like that. It goes, the fire, where it says fire, goes underneath the slide, and then you push down. This little spring is your detent spring that allows for the click to hold it in fire and hold it in safe. So after that, make sure everything's down. It had a lot of oil in there. There's a little bit left there. I just took a rag, cleaned that up a little bit. Obviously, you want oil in there for lubrication, but it was fairly excessive. Just clean it up a little bit. Some of the lint out from Carrie. My fiance carries this fairly regularly. Get some of the lint out, and then I I have a rag that I've used a lot, so it's got a lot of oil on it, gun oil, and just wipe it down, get all of my oils from my fingers out of there, get it nice and clean. And obviously after I was working on this safety bar and everything, I cleaned all that off. And then all we do then is we reinstall our grip panel. Set it down in place. It doesn't really snap or anything. Put the screw in there. Just barely snug it. Put the other one in. And tighten it up. Obviously don't want to go crazy with it, being these little cheap screws, snap them off, that wouldn't be no good. Obviously putting a little blue Loctite on there wouldn't be a bad idea, but I did not. While we're here though, I'm going to check and make sure the other grip panel is tight. It's a little bit loose. Oops. Okay. Now, because of all that, we do not have to have the magazine in to flip the safety on and off. Down in this case is fire, up is safe. When it's down, we can rack the slide. The other modifications I did, I apologize for the background noise, the dog decided he wants to play with a cup. So, the other modification I did is just very minor. You can see how the top of the hammer is very shiny. What I did was I took my little file and I just filed it down a little bit. You don't want to go crazy because you want to make sure that the slide actually cocks the hammer. It's a single action only. You want to make sure that the slide cocks the hammer. So what I did was I just lightly filed it and rounded it off and smoothed it out and polished it a little bit. And I also, to make sure that everything feeds correctly, I polished the feed ramp, which is, you know, a lot of people do that, but I decided to do that on this to make sure it feeds correctly. The problem it was having before, and it still does it a little bit, is it can hang up on the hammer, but you just barely touch it with your thumb and it goes. Before it was a little bit harder, and occasionally with a full magazine it would not feed. But now, you know, it's very smooth. Just goes right through and it cycles rounds perfectly. I think that's all. Well, obviously, because we did the second modification on the inside there, we can drop the magazine with the safety on fire. With it safe or fire, it drops it right out. So, obviously, with these little pocket pistols, you got to watch my fat hands, especially. You got to watch. You don't stop the magazine up. Don't let it fall out. But works good now. It's a good little pistol. And because of those modifications, the safety works as a slide release and slide stop a lot more efficiently now. So, just like that. Alright, I think that about sums it up for the Phoenix Arms HP25A in 25 ACP. I imagine it's the same modifications for the HP22 and 22 long rifle. But I appreciate you watching, and have a good day.